So something that that I tend to like whenever we do talk about um just like social, I guess, work or just social services of like trying to reach more equality and such. I always get frustrated whenever it's like a group of a demographic saying that we want to help this demographic, but then not even having any representation of that demographic in that discussion of helping them. Because I think it is very real, like how you said earlier, that when that ship, not just in tech, like when that ship sails and leaves people behind, it really does feel like people are like left behind. And I think that's where that awareness that you talk about really comes in. It's like, I know, um, yeah, I grew up around in the Black and Hispanic communities too. And I think like it really reflected like I never thought about things outside of that realm until I think I moved and began to see more of the world. Um, and it's like it's so tough in my head because it's like how do we, because so many social services they do just expect people to come because it's so hard to just be proactive and find those communities without seeming like you're invading or just overstepping your bounds or something like that. Um, I don't know. It's like I guess my question is have you had experience like breaking down those boundaries of like being able to reach back into like communities to say that like oh hey I'm here to help and I'm not here to yeah
Disrupt.
like yeah exactly because I think sometimes it comes across as like oh you're here to gentrify or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's. I think it's very interesting. You mentioned that because you also want to help. You want to make sure that the people you're helping are accepting of your help, right? You want to make sure that they are open about it, that they feel comfortable at accepting what you're there to give. And it's really a fine balance because you also want to, like you said, you want to be proactive too. You want to make sure that you're outreaching to them, but you also want to make sure that you're respecting their boundaries of how they would like to be approached
Mhm.
or if they would like to be approached in general. Um, it's hard. It's really hard, I think, especially because I think a lot of these minority communities tend to have more of a defensive stance against everything, right? Because they feel everything is crumbling towards them, right? You have people who are like scared of getting government help because they might feel their family be deported based on that basis. You have families who have um, they don't want to cooperate with like police or like firefighters because they feel they will be targeted in some way. You have a lot of resistance, right, from these communities, and I feel like that's also spiked from a lot of the history behind these communities. A lot of these communities that have been oppressed for so long that oppression is the only thing they know, or yeah, like they feel that the government is out there to get them, the companies are out there to get them and to take advantage of. And it's very valid to feel uh, hesitant to get this help because there are so many things or so many people that have been trying to take advantage of them that you don't know if it's genuine help at that point. Uh, it's just it's a way of resistance as it is, but it's I think it's important to have, I guess, baby steps in this case. Uh, your proactiveness doesn't have to be very drastic. You don't perhaps have to show up to their household and be like, hey man, like here is a whole computer brand for you. Please get on Wi-Fi and start coding right now.
Right.
No, that might feel invasive, right? That might
Mhm.
feel like an opposition to change. There's also some opposition to change. Um, but it's just important to approach places too that have a better sense, or that they might feel more comfortable and safe around. So this spaces to definitely help them grow as community. And it's important to help also the spaces, right? Perhaps you see kids going to the library more often to read up on books. You can donate a couple of books, right? Let them know, like, hey, like I'm donating these books, I want nothing in return. You don't even perhaps need the recognition that comes from helping. And I mean, to me, it's really not a big deal to be recognized for what you're doing. And other people might feel different about it. They might like the recognition. That might be a driving factor of what they do. But I think at the end of the day, it's the communities that you're helping that really determine if you're doing good, right? If you're helping the community, whether you're getting recognition or you're not getting recognition, that's okay as long as you're helping. But it's hard because you would essentially feel the resistance from the communities to help, and that might take a little bit more time, more small steps on helping them. I think with TC you've encountered some of it. We encountered some of it that perhaps I remember when we went to the Rockford distribution, some people didn't even want to take the help. They were a little hesitant. They were like, "Are you gonna ask me to sign something? Are you gonna ask me to like read something from this, or like are you gonna ask me to pay it back later? Is this a loan, right?" So even themselves were worrying about what was gonna happen if they took on that help. So I think it's important to like make them remind them like, hey, like there's people out there who are willing to help you, and I'm here for that. If you feel like taking on this much help can be overwhelming for me, then take this small help and I might be back later, or you can come approach me later. It's just a matter of having a good balance between how much people are accepting, I guess, from you and how much you are willing to help, so that you have that connection with people. That's what volunteering does, in a sense, to connect to people. It creates bonds with people. And we saw it with our people from with our what's it, charity. I think we used to go a lot to in the Warrens, to help out their place. So yeah, eventually they perhaps first day we showed up, they were like, "No, I think it's fine. You don't guys have to do all of this. You don't have to come every weekend." But eventually they were very welcoming, right? They were even like hoping you guys would come around. They will receive you with open arms. So it is a trust relationship that you're building with these communities, and that may take time. That might not happen from one day to another. So I think that's also an important approach of getting to these communities, right? You have to be very patient. You have to remember that all we heard at some point or they experienced with some was oppression. And it might take you a little bit to break those thoughts. It might take you a bit also to just like gain the trust and just gain their, I guess, because there's also some sense of pride with some minority communities. Like they don't want to receive the help because they have this feeling of, oh yeah, I've been oppressed for so long, like you're gonna think I am useless, I am a lot less than you, or that I am someone you had to take care of because I cannot even take care of myself, kind of approach. So they might feel that resistance in that way as well. But yeah, that is important. And I think I say it also from the point of view, because in the past I'll be like, no, why are they giving me computers? Are you gonna think I'm like this poor, but I'm really just trying to like live, right? Like I'm not the one who needs it. Like I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna make sure I get my own stuff. And yeah, it's just reminding those people that the help is there little by little, of course. Just build it up, like build up your trust with these communities and make sure that you're approachable in that sense. Don't force yourself into it, essentially. But yeah, I feel like that's a good way to make sure that you're having a good and a good, I guess, giving, but also a very accepting community of you.
I think, yeah, it's so true because I think, like, I guess in my time with TC, I think connecting service is so important. It's something that I've come to realize. Like, it's important not to serve thinking like there's like in and out group, like I'm serving the out group. I think it's important to think of it as like it's all us, like we're all one thing. But it's like, right, like how do we get people all to think that way? Like not just the servers, the givers, but also the receivers. And as you said, I think time and consistency is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I do think we are running low on time because I think it's the meeting's ending again, but this has been an absolute blast, Daniel. I may come bug you with things later. It's like, hey, Daniel, what do you think about? Maybe I might start a project or something. But yeah,
I'd love to help, yes.
yes, I would love to